Welcome to MEGAFOON Sport. It's my privilege to welcome Dylan James, Captain Springbok, for the guys who know on Twitter. So how's it, Dylan?
Yeah, it's good. Good. Thanks for having me, MV.
Yeah, I like talking to guys who stay where we're playing. So last week I spoke to Tielman van Delft, who stays in Scotland. And now today I'm going to talk to you about the Springboks playing against England, because you live in London, South African. Tell me, how did you end up in London? Let's start there.
I used to, work in the, hall where, all of our best players come from. And
Allegedly.
and I used to live in Cape Town and travel to Paul every day. Yeah, I was just, my wife was British, and we just decided, at that stage, West Africa wasn't a great place. So we'd give London a try. It was actually meant to be a 2/5 year plan, and then 14 going on 15 years later, two children, and we're still here.
Well, you might live in England, but you don't. Well, do you support England at all, or are you first and foremost a Springbok supporter with maybe England
Uh,
in second place?
this is South African through and through. If England are playing like the All Blacks or something, I would, I'd like them to win, unless they've said something horrible about the Springboks in the week before. But yeah, I've lived for so long, so I'm not like one of those people that just have a hate of England or anything like that. Maybe before I moved here, but you live here, and your children go to school here. You can't.
Yeah.
My son, he hates England, but more than I do, weirdly. But yeah, it's always good to it's good in sport in general. You want the sport to do well. It's good for the sports, especially if England are a big player in the world, and they need their team to do well, for all the clubs and everything here too.
So funny for me, I said to Harry when I spoke to him just now, last week when I watched the game England versus Australia, I found myself rooting for Australia. And I had to check myself, what on earth's wrong with me? But Harry said after an hour, normally when you're a neutral and you're watching a game, you realize who you're actually supporting. And I realized I'm supporting Australia, I suppose because it's a Southern Hemisphere team or something, and maybe because they, sort of making a comeback and the likes. I just cannot see myself supporting England. I mean, they're sort of the arch
That
enemy, aren't they?
I sup- you know what I also same with as you, sort of as the game sort of getting into it, I was like, I didn't want England to destroy Australia. I hate Australia as well, actually, probably more than I hate England. But for the sake of the rugby championship, and you want these guys to do well. Same as you want Wales to do well. You don't like seeing these powerhouses, just not being the same as they were before.
Yeah.
And that Suolai centre, I mean, he was brilliant. And it was just like such an entertaining game down to the wire. So, I really enjoy. I found myself supporting, Oz just because they were the underdogs in the end, and it was really entertaining game.
And we like being the underdogs, South Africans, and we often talked about that. Now we have to get used to not being the underdogs. We have to get used to being the
Yeah,
favorites. We have to get used to being expected to win, even if it's overseas, even if it's a Twickenham for that matter. Now, that's something that we South African supporters more than the team itself. I don't think has got that problem. They consider themselves to be favorites, but we as a supporter, I still feel, I'm not sure. Can we do it? But I should have more faith. I mean, Rassie knows, Rassie knows.
yeah. I think we. That's a weird thing. It's difficult to explain. Some people always ask me, "Why do you feel like you're the underdogs?" Or I just think it's a South African mentality. Like we always feel like we want to prove ourselves, and like we're not quite happy with where we are yet, and we're still a little bit nervous. Even this weekend, I'm not. I know England have just dropped to seventh, I think, or eighth in the world, seventh, and Scotland's above them and Argentina. But if you were to ask me out of those three, who would I least like to face, I'd still say England. Um, they are they've got some good players, and they're always dangerous as well. So although I think we will win, and I think it's probably going to be a big score. Just looking at that team, I'm not writing them off either.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that you mentioned there. They're a good team. They're good players and everything. But you said we not want to face. We wouldn't want to really face them. But at the same time, Steve Borthwick's now lost two in a row. All Blacks, Australia. So who wouldn't you want to face? You wouldn't want to face South Africa right now, back against the wall, playing for your job here, having to win, lots of pressure, and you have to run out against the number one team in the world, once again, rightly so, back-to-back world champions. That's sort of a tough ask, isn't it?
I think it is, but we saw in the World Cup they pushed us. We
Sure.
went into that game overconfident, or I mean, I don't know if the team were, but at least the fan base was, myself included. And right until the end, where it was like, people were just giving up already. I know this is different because that was a World Cup and was some tough games back to back, but I don't ever write England off. And Steve Borthwick, I think he knows how to play, kill that momentum. I think he did that in the World Cup. They probably look to play a frustrating game. And to be honest, Cunningham South, great, great forward. I think they've actually just announced a team. I think I saw something come up. But yeah, they have got some decent players, and like I said, I never write them off. Same as France, whether it's good or bad France, they're always just one of those teams that can turn up on the day.
Step up to the occasion.
Yeah.
So what's been happening in the press this week? You're in England, you live in London. What's the feeling like? We know Stephen Jones wrote some stupid article again. I'm going to talk about that. What else? They always like to niggle us a bit, have a go at us in the media, social media, the likes. What's happening?
I think the people in general, like a lot of my friends, my English friends, some of whom I'm going with tonight, to a bomb squad beer evening. A lot of them are just like, you guys are going to pummel us, and I'm not like, I don't, I wouldn't, I think we will, but I don't think, although I think it will be a big score. I'm like I said, I'm always wary of England. So I think a lot of English supporters are like down in the dumps a bit at the moment. I think they fully expecting to get absolutely obliterated this weekend. Um, yeah, I think the feeling at the moment isn't good amongst supporters. And also in England, the media can turn on you quite quickly as well. You've seen, already articles about should Steve Borthwick go. They did the same with Eddie. When they start writing bad press about you, they just keep on getting after you.
I'm just looking at the team now. I saw the announcement. It's Freddie Stewart, 15, Tommy Freeman, Ollie Lawrence, Henry Slade, Ollie Sluiting, Marcus Smith, Jack van Poortvliet. That's interesting.
From Puerto, he's the scrum off.
Mm.
Slow. I don't rate him.
Oh, is it? Is he slow?
Yeah, I just always thought he's a bit slower around the ruck. Very, there's other guys that are quicker.
Okay. And then Alice Gaines. This is the one I'm interested in the front row because I don't want to be in their shoes this weekend. We'll talk about our team just now, but Alice Gaines, Jamie George, Will Stewart, Mario Toje, George Martin, those are two tough guys. And then Chandler Cunningham himself. I heard the commentator commenting this weekend, he's got such nice hair. I thought, what a comment to make in a rugby game, really, anyway. And
Yeah, he's got
then
this real unique look about him.
I watched him in the scrum. The hair was actually in front of his face. I was wondering,
Yeah,
you can see the ball. And then Sam Underhill and Ben Earl. So what do you think of that team?
I see they got Freddie Stewart back in, so
Mm.
him and Rassie are going to be contesting those high balls, and he's also, I mean, Fassie's been amazing on the high ball. I'd probably say he's the best in the world on the high ball, but Freddie Stewart is also really good on the high ball. But I don't think he's played, or has he started in a while, so you can tell they, with Grant and Fassi that they were probably waiting to see that before announcing their team. So they're probably expecting the aerial battle to come their way. So that's probably what that team. I feel sorry for that front row there. I mean, against Archie, with that front five, Archie, Irben, Wilco, Bongi and Ox. I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, I said Fussy. I mentioned to me Fussy. This access rule and this stuff. Fussy is going to have an absolute blast there because he's the one guy that you don't want to go up against and having no protection. When you're going
Yeah.
chasing the high ball and the likes. That guy can jump high. He's good in the air. Like Freddie Stewart, that meme where he was looking like he jumped over the poles, basically.
Yeah.
He's a good jumper. That's going to be a good contest. You're right.
Yeah, no, I think they're both very good on the high ball, so it's going to be interesting to see. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of clashes in the air.
I'll talk to you about Twickenham just now, what the atmosphere is like, but let's just talk about our team quickly while we've now discussed England briefly. To
Yeah.
me, the biggest standout is Will Low. I mean, I think that is one of the best selections in the world. I am a Bull supporter, and I'll admit being biased there, but I mean, really, that guy is in exceptional form.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for him to be in that starting lineup, or even in the bomb squad, I'd say. But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad to see him in there. I mean, he's been so good for the Bulls as well, and before that for the Stormers as well.
You had to get that in there. Oh well, it's not where you start out, it's where you end up. Now, that's all
No,
that
no,
matters. Yeah.
that front row is scary. Um, those are very aggressive, very strong front row. I'll be terrified. I mean, if I were was Genge and who else was in there in the front? For
Genge and I can't remember. Hold on a second. Genge and Will Stewart.
Hmm.
And the
I think they
bench,
miss.
bench is Luke. No, it's Finn Baxter and Dan Cole.
Dan Cole's also getting a pass his sell by day. I think they probably miss Joe Marler. I wasn't a fan of his. I think feeling was mutual, but he's still. I thought he was probably one of their best scrummagers. They need some big guys like that again. I don't know. Again, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't know. I think he's got that that dog in him, or whatever you want to call it. But I think when it comes to that front row, you need power.
Well, they creaked against Australia of all sides. Their scrum, I mean. And
Yeah,
Australia is not the best scrumming side in the world I've ever seen. South Africa is the best scrumming side in the world.
yeah,
It's going to be a disaster, I think, for England, if you ask me.
yeah. No, I agree. And then you still got the Marks, Steenekamp, who's coming from the bench,
Vincent Koch.
and Vincent Koch. I mean, God, it's going to be a tough day for them. But it's
Well,
be
and
good day.
that lock combination, you mentioned it, Eben and Ergier. Ergier at number 5 is going to be an interesting one. That guy can jump as high as anything. He only needs one hand to catch any ball. I don't think we'll have a
Yeah,
problem for lineouts again like we did against Scotland last week.
yeah. No, I'm also looking for it. I think everyone's quite excited about that. Those guys starting together. I mean, I don't know when last he has actually started. Well, he didn't. It's been a while, I think, since he's
I can't remember, but it's been
started.
a while. Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's been a while. The problem with him is he's injury prone. He's the championship hurt his foot again, but he seems to be bulked up a bit. He seems to be even bigger than he used to be.
Yeah, he's touch wood. He's had a good run. Leinster seems to be looking after him. Uh, he's been injury free, but yeah, he's also put on some weight. He's a big guy.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so hopefully he stays injury free. I mean, we've got so many of our locks are injured. Who knows if there was what's his name? Was he injured last week? When he
Ronald
got
Keir.
crock-rolled. No, when he got crock-rolled, Franco.
Franco, no, he wasn't injured.
But he had a rusty day at the
Yeah,
office last week.
it's
First day
first
back.
time since July. I mean, it's been 4 months. Yeah, and he got there's a serious injury. He played with a broken leg for 2 minutes. Remember that game against Ireland? Can you believe it?
He's only he can.
Yeah. All right, and then Marnie, what you thinking about? Well, let's talk about this 9, 10, and 15. Well, I see.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it.
Speed. Yeah.
I mean, it's what I mean. You got Cheslin and Kirtley as well, and Apalele. It's that. We're going to smash them through the middle, and then you're going to have these, lightning on the sides. I mean, that ball's going to move quick in that line, in that back line. I fully expect to see, some magic with Grant and Mane. Little chips down to the wings. Grant's definitely going to be seeing loads of box kicks, and his box kicking is excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect for Apalele. So I think that back line is going to, as they say, it's going to cook. I think, and Damien's back as well, which is nice. I mean, Andre was great last week as well, but I think Damien's brings something a little bit different. We got Jesse back too.
Andre went a bit too far sometimes. I think he got a bit isolated. I think that's the problem. I see people disagree with me. They reckon, he pulled in more defenders and the likes, maybe. But I think Damien's got better hands. Damien
Yeah,
doesn't lose ball doesn't lose the ball ever. He doesn't give away
yeah. Damon can
possession.
do some good offloads as well.
Mm.
So but yeah, I mean, I think that backline is, it's quick.
But
So
you mentioned to me in the beginning you're expecting a high scoring game. I was surprised about that. What's the weather going to be like, number one? And then secondly, what do you think England's going to pull out of the hat here? Because they had two tough games. Like I said, All Blacks Australia is not easy. And then coming up against the Springboks, they must be a bit tired, might be a bit sore,
Well, the
you
last
know.
time they played those two in combination, we put 32-12 on them,
Mm,
and they faced us afterwards. In the 2019 World Cup,
mm,
Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. This time it's the other way around. New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. And I think, look, if Australia put 42 on them last week, and it doesn't look like Faye Bosa is in the team.
mm.
And he gets a lot of ground for them. If Oz are putting 42 on them, I mean, surely we should be putting up big numbers as well. I thought initially maybe in the 20s, something close, but seeing that team and seeing England's team, I can't see it being that close. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
On
And
both
if
sides.
it's not raining, I mean, I don't know on both sides. I mean, we've kept Ireland. I mean, we kept uh, them scoreless last week, Scotland's. Um,
Trialers. Yeah.
sorry, Trilers, sorry.
Mm,
So, if we can stop Cunningham South is obviously quite strong with the ball.
mm.
Um, I don't know. I don't think they're going to score many.
Ah, interesting.
I think.
Well, let's talk about Twickenham now. That's actually what I really want to talk to you about. What's it like being at Twickenham? We see this sort of the cathedral of rugby almost, and a lot of South Africans there. You're going to be a lot of South Africans there as well. You always go there. You go there with your son. You mentioned you've been to Twickenham probably more than any other stadium. Shockingly
Yeah,
enough, you have never been to Loftus. I have to put that out there, but we'll rectify that very soon.
it's on the bucket list. It's on the bucket list.
I can imagine. Number one, I would say.
Um, Twickenham's a good day out. It's a big stadium as well. It's difficult if you don't go down there early. If people want to meet up with you for a beer or something, it's just pure chaos. Like you can't find anyone. There's loads going on. When you get there, there's a train station, close by. There's quite a few pubs. All the roads get blocked off. People are usually having a few beers at those pubs before making their way down to the stadium. There's loads of stores. Like I said earlier when we were discussing, uh, a lot of South African stores, even on days when there's no South African games. There's a lot of houses with front gardens that open up onto the road when you're walking through to Twickenham. So there's people doing things in their front gardens, braais going on, selling merchandise. There's a few stores along the way, so people are buying a few beers as they're going along. So it's a real good vibe. The approach to the stadium, and then when you get there, the first thing you see is the statue with the guys doing the line out outside the stadium. Yeah, and then you got to go around to wherever you got to get into. It's big. It's a big concrete jungle inside there, though. It's pretty big. It's good out, and it's a really nice stadium as well inside. I've been to some prettier stadiums, but I think in terms of how comfortable it is and to move around, it's a good stadium. I mean, the
And
English, the fans there, I mean, it's just standard Englishman in his blue jeans and brown loafers and tweed jackets. And
Twickenham,
what I've always noticed, yeah, what I've always told people here, which is the big difference for me between going to watch a rugby game in South Africa versus going to watch a rugby game here, is in South Africa, even if it's like a South African game or a Bulls game or Western Province or Somers, you'll have families there. So it'll be, people with their children, wives, girls, at Twickenham, it's probably 85%, maybe even more than that, sort of middle to, old age men. It's just a very different
mm,
uh, vibe. Where in South Africa, it's a very much a family day out. I mean, if someone can afford it, that is. But here it's a lot more just older. I think people probably get a bit priced out because it is quite expensive. Um, but yeah, it's a very different type of atmosphere. I think South Africans also get into like the whole festive, the game day gears as well. I mean, obviously, I get all dressed up and all of that, but yeah, it's a lot more stiff. Is probably the words.
Yeah.
It's not as I mean, everyone's having fun. Everyone enjoys their fun in different ways. But I think if I think of like the actual how much the fans love being there, I'd say that South Africans and probably love being in those matches more than I say a lot of English supporters do. Well, it's also nice that they have inside the stadium after the game. I can't remember what it's called now, but they've got a band plays and they keep one of the bars open. So, a lot of people go and squeeze in there and then the band's playing and listening to music, and it's quite nice actually.
And what do they like towards South African supporters on the stands? I know Harry told me last week he was sort of hit over the head by a gentleman with a cane because he wasn't sitting down. He was jumping up and down all the time. So the guy tapped him on the with his cane. What did they like towards? Are they tolerant? Are they good sports?
They're right. I've had a few like sort of weird interactions with some, but I'd say most are fine. I remember once I went and this guy was telling me that Irvin is the dirtiest player in World Rugby, and I was telling him, "What are you talking about?" I think at that stage, I don't think Irvin had a yellow card for ages, or let alone a red card. Um, and he was just, it was just so like the way he was telling me, I was just like, this guy hates Irvin. And then he was carrying on about his own team, how much he disliked Owen Farrell, and I said, I think he's far superior to Marcus Smith. Um, it was just I just found it quite weird. Like, yeah, at a day for rugby, like have fun. Don't be so serious and upset about things that don't even really matter in the grand scheme of things. Someone also made a comment to me once about our bomb squad, and I was just said to him, I'm the wrong guy if you're talking about those sorts of things. But otherwise, they are good fun. Can be a bit too serious. Not as I just wouldn't say they're as fun as the African fans are. And yeah, Harry's right. They probably sit down and enjoy them. We're not going as mad as we would. I mean, if you're going to talk about France, I mean, those guys are next level in the stadiums. Um, Totally different atmosphere to a day out in Twickenham. But yeah, it's still a good day. I mean, there'll be so many South Africans anyway as well. We'll be. I mean, at least 30% of that stadium will be South Africans, at least maybe 40.
I'll listen to the anthems. That's typically a good way to indicate how many South Africans there are. You can clearly hear it.
Yeah, no, there'll be a lot there.
Talking about stadiums in France now, you were at the game with Ireland and they sang Zombie and everything else, and you got a bit upset about that. You made a plan. Tell me about that.
I made the Rassie songs. If anyone doesn't know, I started the Rassie song. It was a joke and turned into a movement, if you want to call it that. That was after we lost to Ireland in the World Cup, and that like really upset me because it was one of those games where it was kind of we lost it more than they won it, if that makes sense. Like we obviously left some points on the board, on the field, sorry. And, I felt that decision by Ben O'Keefe at the end was a bit harsh. We were trying to get that ball out. Anyway, it happened, and then I just remember seeing like, those videos of like Rassie standing on the side of the field, and there was this viral video that went around of this South African fan sitting in the stands, and the zombie song's playing, and the crowd singing, and he's just sitting there, and you could just feel this guy's pain. And I was just like, I've got to do something with this song. And the week there after that game, all the Irish fans were just laying into South African fans online, and I was like, no, this is not finished yet. Anyway, so I was thinking about the zombie song, and I was like, oh, it works with Bongi, Bongi Bongi, and then I was like, you know what? Actually, I don't know if it works with Rassie because he always gets in people's heads. And then I put it out, and I was like, and then I wrote it down. I was like, no, this works. So I found the picture because that music video is quite iconic as well. The singer, the Irish singer, I forget her name now. She just had like all this gold paint on and this like headdress or this wig out of like chains or whatever. So I took Rassie's face and I put it on there, wrote those words down, and then I actually changed it to the raspberries, not the cranberries. And I put it on Twitter. I mean, I didn't have a decent or big following back then, maybe 250 or 300 followers or something. And it got a few likes. It wasn't like viral or anything like that. Probably about 100 or whatever likes. Quite a lot of views. And then I saw an article in one of the Irish media publications about it. And then I saw a video. I think Rassie had shared a video. Someone somewhere in a pub was singing it, and then the whole pub was singing it. And then I was like, hang on, this is really catching on now. And then I went to France, watched South Africa. I went the night before to watch Ireland play New Zealand in France. And I had that flag with me. And actually, a lot of Irish people posted it. A lot of them, when they realized what it actually said, they're like, no, we don't want to post this flag. And then the next night was the South Africa game, South Africa France. And then there's a group of guys walking in front of us who I told you the other day, they won the Rugby Pass video that went quite famous as well with them singing the song. And they were in front of us singing the song. So I went up there. I was like I created that song. And we did a photo and a video together. And then after that, it just completely blew up. Yeah, I get a lot of stick online from Irish supporters and about it, but I've got no control over it anymore. I put it out there. It's got its own life now, and I know this thing at Loftus, at the Cape Town Stadium. I mean, especially Loftus, they love it there. I'm proud to have given something, to the supporters to sing. I know they love it. So,
yeah, I tell you, it's iconic.
That's
even at Loftus, even at Loftus, even in the URC game or a Currie Cup game for that matter, the crowd ends up singing it sometime anyway. It's iconic. You're right.
But anyway, it's South Africa's now. It's my gift for Rassie.
I'm sure he appreciates it. Yeah. Tell me about that flag behind you. What's that about?
Here's my I don't know if you can see it on there. It's a little bit. It's my Fatala Harvard flag that I made. It's got Damien doing the infamous
for the
scrum call. That seems to have also taken off a bit. I see SA Rugby magazines shared the photo of me holding the flag. I mean, that is, probably the most iconic moment. I know we got Cheslin doing the charge down, and there's a couple other things, but that for me was the moment in the World Cup. So I enjoy making. I made different flags and banners and taking it to games, and just to I enjoy making people smile and laugh and having a beer and all that sort of thing.
You mentioned the flag you were holding at the Ireland All Blacks game. What flag was that?
That was the flag of the actual picture that I made with Rassie's face with the words "He's in your head, it's in your head, Rassie." A few of them posed. A lot of them thought it was funny. Obviously, some didn't find it funny. But even at that game, that Ireland New Zealand game, that was a crazy game to be at. I felt a bit sorry for the Ireland supporters afterwards. To be honest, I know we all give each other, crap online, but I thought the Irish supporters in the stadium were very humble. And afterwards, outside the stadium, they had like DJs and bars and stuff, and they were all there, still out having a good time.
This is one thing right in the beginning. You mentioned your son hates England more than you do. I know you dress him up in Springbok clothing. Tell us about his support, just to close off.
He loves the Springboks. He still doesn't fully understand he likes Stormers.
Oh no,
he likes Springbok. He likes Stormers. He likes the Springboks. He does. Stormers I explained to him like the players that play for the Stormers also play for the Springboks. So yeah, he quite enjoys Springboks, and I took him to watch the All Blacks game at Twickenham last year when we beat them at 30, whatever it was, 35-7, which he really enjoyed. I've taken him to a few Stormers games as well in Cape Town when I was there, and I went to take him to Cardiff last year as well. But yeah, he really enjoys it. He enjoys going out to the rugby. To be honest, I think he enjoys just getting all like the little fingers and the hats and just the whole thing, the whole day out. But yeah, he loves. He doesn't. He played rugby a bit here. He's stopped for now. Yeah, that's football. People are football crazy
Mm.
at this side, and he does have friends and plays rugby. But I didn't think he was quite ready yet, if that makes sense. I just felt he wasn't getting that much into it. So I thought rather than force him to play, I'll let him when he's a bit older and he wants to play, he can play again.
So where did your love for rugby come from? I mean, you grew up you said you lived in Cape Town, worked in Paul, and you're
Uh,
still a supporter. Where did you learn to love rugby?
my mother, she was a lunatic Western Province and UCT supporter. Um, yeah, she got me into rugby. And actually, when I was a kid, I was a bit overweight, and they needed to get me active. So our mom put me into rugby when I was 8, and yeah, I just loved playing it. I was always in the front row, hooker or prop, or they tried to move me when I got a bit older to 8th man. I was just like, oh, I don't know what to do. I've been playing in the front row my entire life, and now when I'm 18, you want to put me at 8th man or flanker. I don't know what's going on. Just put me back in the back row. But yeah, so it was my mom. She was my biggest supporter when it came to playing rugby, and enjoying rugby. And we used to go to games together as well, Western Province games. Before there was Stormers, it was Western Province. And I had scholars tickets when I was in primary school. I had scholars tickets, so it was a very different time then. Back then, we used to have scholars tickets. It was good there. I remember, tell you one quick story. Andre Hubert was still playing for Sharks, and I can't remember which year. I think it must have been in 1994, and we were sitting in the stands behind the poles. And back then, people did used to still respect the kicker. And I had my neighbor with me, and he was younger than me. I was about 10, so he must have been about 7. Maybe I was 11 and he was about 7 or 8. We had Sharks guys sitting around us, and Andre Bear was about to take this kick, and then the crowd was silent. And then as he's about to take a kick, my friend stands up and he shouts, "Miss!" It like echoes around the whole stadium. And Andre Bear missed. So and the Sharks lost that game, and the Sharks put a singer. I was so angry. My poor mother. It was just my mother, me, and my friend. She was like, "Please don't make trouble with these guys."
You must come to Loftus, bro. I told you that Eastern Stand used to be much worse than it is right now. But if you're ever in Pretoria, let me know. We can go watch a game together. The Bulls will welcome you. I'm sure we'll make
Yeah,
it. We'll make an
definitely.
event out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to do that. It is on my bucket list. I might have to wear a Blue Bulls jersey that day, just
But just for safety's
so
sake.
that I get exactly.
Listen, man, I appreciate your time. It was lucky talking to you. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, Envy. It was great speaking to you. I enjoy your podcast, and hopefully, we do as I think we will do this weekend, and then next weekend's on to Wales and going to Wales as well. So hopefully, it'll be a good day out in Wales. I feel a bit sorry for Wales, but
Mm.
can't feel
Well,
too sorry for them. We need to beat them and England. So
I look forward to Cameron Hanekom making his debut against Wales, who was trying to poach him. That's just justice, if you ask
I
me.
think that's what Russ is going to do. I did say a while ago, someone said, when do you think he's going to make his debut? And I said, I've got a feeling that Russ is going to do it against Wales, just to
That
just to
I,
mess with them, and
mm,
and B, because it's a, I don't want to say easier game, but an easier game
yeah, it is. Make
than
it
St. England.
easier debut. Yeah, less pressure. Let him play his game, and you're
And he'll
rubbing
probably be
everybody
up
up in
for
his
it.
face. Yeah, he will.
Yeah,
He
and
will.
he'll probably be up for it because it's Wales, So I think I'm sad that he's doesn't play for Stormers. Cameron Icon, but
Uh,
he's a good guy. We got Evan Russ, but I think they're both competing for the same position, but they're slightly different.
yeah, they're not the same. No, we'll see next year. It's going to be interesting. And also, there's talk about moving Cameron to 6. Maybe a long-term replacement for Sia. I'm not sure about that. He played for 6 for the Bulls, and I wasn't too convinced about that.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you got so many guys competing. There's only so many spaces available, I
Mm.
suppose. Sometimes you get trapped in that cycle where you're an amazing player, but you just don't get that exposure because there's someone that's just that little bit better or just
Yeah.
has that little bit more experience. You kind of have to wait your turn, or you have to knock the person off the top. Or someone gets injured. If you have your opportunity, you've got to grab it with both hands. And you saw that with um, Sasha coming into the team. I mean, he played. I mean, he just knocked Marnie and a few other guys that were
Mm.
probably second to Andre. All of a sudden, Sasha, and people even saying he should be above Andre. I mean, when you got that opportunity, you need to grab it with both hands, I suppose.
Yeah, but he's a once in a generation talent. I told Jack White he must sign Sasha, and he said, "Don't think I didn't try."
Yeah,
that's, that's interesting. Anyway, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I
yeah.
have to
Thank you,
go
Andy. It
enjoy the
was good
bomb
to
squad
speak to you.
tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully Malcolm's going to be. I know Kitsup's going to be there, but I don't know because if Malcolm's allowed to go out because of
Hmm.
obviously he's playing on Saturday. But yeah, but Kitsup's going to be there. Hopefully a few other guys will be there too.